coming, guys. I'm super excited that you're taking advantage of this week and this type of stuff. I'm alumni from here. I graduated a long time ago in 1998. The last time I was in this room was for a sorority meeting that we had. So when I got off the elevator and started down this way, it was funny because our closet was out here at the end of this hallway, and it's just familiar to be back here. So it's always fun to come and be back on campus. My name is Nikki Gray. Most people call us recruiters. The new corporate name for recruiters is talent acquisition managers. That's an IBM and Apple and big company thing. We used to be like personnel people, and then we were recruiters, and now we're talent acquisition managers. And I'm also a training and development manager, so that's the responsibility that I have for Enterprise Holdings here in the local area. And just to give you some background, I'm a local girl. I grew up in Hurricane, came here to UC on a nursing scholarship because my grandmother and my two grandmothers and my mother were nurses, and no one ever asked me what I wanted to do or even gave me direction. They just assumed I was going to do nursing, and so did I. But was lucky enough to double major and started seeing a different side of things. And between my junior and my senior year, I left the nursing program and finished my degree in psychology. And that was in 1998. And then I was a single mom. My daughter was 3, so I took a few months off, and she and I traveled and got to have some bonding time because I had her on a Thursday, and I went back to school that following Tuesday. And that was when I was a junior, and I was on the 5-year plan, so I was always in school full-time when I had her. So I launched my career with Enterprise on October 1st of 1998 and have worked my way up through there. In the last 6 years, I have been on the recruiting and training and development side. Enterprise is the #1 hire of college graduates in the world. Most people don't realize that. We're in 5 countries. We employ about 68,000 employees, 8,000 locations here in the States. And I got an email this morning from our owner and president of the company, $14.5 billion in revenue this past year, end of fiscal year statement. $2 billion more than last year in the middle of an economic crisis. Growth. So crazy. Like, can you even put your brain around $1 billion, much less $2 billion growth and $14 billion total? The Taylor family is who owns Enterprise and always have. We are the 16th largest private sector now in the world. And the Taylor family also recently purchased Alamo and National Car Rental. So I no longer just work for Enterprise. I work for Enterprise Holdings, operating Enterprise, Alamo, and National. So my role has changed greatly. Resume writing, love it that you all are coming to join in on it, because I think you all actually have 25 people telling you 25 different ways to do it and what you want and what people are looking for and what's important. There's a couple of questions when you first open up your handout. And the second question, I think, really always blows everybody's mind. So on page 3, the average resume review, 30 seconds, maybe, tops, I take to look over your resume real quick. I get 16,000 applications a year. Full-time positions, out of that 16,000, I'll hire, on average, 82 to 90 people a year out of that 16,000. Extremely, incredibly competitive just to get into the company. Same thing with other people. Really, really important that you're putting on your resume what it is that you want to define yourself by, specific to each job. You should not have one resume that you send out to every position that you're interested in. Your resume needs to be catered very specific to each position that you're interested in. You wouldn't believe how often I get a resume and a cover letter addressing someone at another company to the other company and a title that they were hiring for at another company. If you all got that from a candidate, what would it scream out to you first and foremost? Yeah, well, it generally does scream out trash to me. Next. But what else? What else would you say? Yeah. Come on. Get on board. Pay attention to what you're doing. How about laziness to even take pride in what they were sending out? So what kind of work are they going to produce for me? Yeah. So do we even bother considering that candidate anymore? Nah, next. Not even going to waste our time. On page 4, some big things that I want to cover with you all real fast. My resume needs to be eye-catching. I should use neon orange paper, big fonts, and big pictures of myself. Negative, ghostwriter. Professional, all right? So none of that stuff going on. You're not applying for homecoming queen or president of your sorority fraternity anymore. This is big girl and boy stuff. It's corporate America. So the orange neon paper, don't need it. Pictures of yourself, I will tell you, any company that's credible and is following EEOC type of laws, rules, and regulations, I do not even want to see a picture of you, period, prior to actually interviewing you. Why? Discrimination of any kind, whether it's somebody who's disabled, gender, or race. I don't want to know anything about it. My generalist, which cracks me up that an HR person would even come in and ask me this, said to me yesterday, hey, we're trying to identify some things in our hiring practices, and could you give me some numbers on how many minorities and females start at the interview process and end at the interview process? We don't even ask you those questions anymore when you're completing that application to identify your sex or your race, or if you're disabled. Those are things that I don't even want to even come into play. Because if they're not job related, should they matter? No, absolutely not. They should never matter. So do not, whatever you do, put a picture of yourself on your resume. It is death for you because it scares recruiters and HR people to death because of what we know what's going on out there legally. So just don't shoot yourself in the foot doing it. Big fonts, the only thing that really needs to be big, guys, is your name. That's the thing that I want to remember about you very quickly because I'm going to attach everything else to your resume back to that name, and that's what I'm going to remember. It needs to be in the center of the paper, needs to be at the top, and it needs to be larger, really, than everything else on your page. Okay? Everything else, no gimmicks, anything like that. Use the same font and the same style. So an overview of a few things that is in this packet, and I could read this packet to you, so we can do that if you all want to, or you all can take this packet home and have it to refer to, and you can throw me out some questions that are going to be really, really important to you all and things that you really want to know about resume writing. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is just kind of open the floor up to you all and say, what do you want to know? Resume writing or interviewing? Either one. We can go in either direction. How many of you all have a resume together? How many of you all that have your hands raised are in your junior or senior year? Okay, awesome that you're doing it before your junior or senior year. How many of you in here are considering internships right now? All right, everybody should have their hand raised on that one, guys. Incredibly, incredibly important. And let me tell you why. Internships are an opportunity, number one, for you all to weed out what you do or don't like, and it's going to show credibility that you can start and stop something, and hopefully with success at the end. It shows a lot of experience and maturity, too, because some internships are not paid. So if you're willing to go out there and show companies that you're willing to get that success or that experience hands-on, have a start date and a finish date, and stick to it, it's big for them. We actually pay our interns, but we use our internship as a recruiting tool. So that's why we do that. So definitely, definitely start looking for internships. They're going to be huge. And you need to start in your junior year. You can do summer internships, or you can do some that are all year round, but you really need to start identifying them. Hannah is an awesome, awesome resource for you all. We did not have a Hannah when I was here and graduating in 1998 that has the knowledge and the resources that she has. Take advantage of her. She gets paid to do what she does, and if you're not taking advantage of her, I know it's so cheap to go to school here. Okay, you're still paying $500 a month. Been out since 1998. Like, do the math in your head. She has a paycheck to earn, and that's kind of what it is that she can do for you all. So reach out to her on that. What other questions?
You're only looking at the resume for like 30 seconds. Would you say that the interview process is
Huge, yes, absolutely. Interview process, your resume is kind of those bare essentials, your minimum qualifiers just to get you in the door. And then that interview is going to be what closes your opportunity. You're either going to close it and ask them for the job and nail it based on your ability to communicate your experiences, or you're going to blow it because you haven't researched, you don't really know what it is that they're going to ask you, you haven't prepared for the interview, and it really doesn't matter what you've accomplished because you can't communicate anything back to them that's going to be important to do the job that they're interviewing for. Yes, sir. On the resume, for us, our position, the management trainee position, and it's the only position we hire for outside of the company. We promote only from within. It is a sales, marketing, customer service, and management position. So when I'm reading down through there, I want to see positions that you've held, whether they're extracurricular, president of a fraternity, president of governmental stuff here on campus, positions where you've had leadership, positions where, or things, bullet points on there where you have hit goals and objectives, so you can kind of say, here's where our goal was, and this is where we ended up, and you want to kind of see a number value on there, so we increased this by that, by this number. You know, I want to see that you have the ability to not only hit the goal, but to grow something. I want to see positions that are relative to customer service. So management and leadership, customer service, sales, your ability to move a number. So depending on what type of position that you're applying for, those are the types of things that you're going to put. Now, you might have a job where you do a lot of different things, and a position that you're interviewing for is really more of a management position rather than sales, marketing, management. So that management piece, if you're thinking about that now, what I just told you, what types of things, what are those bullet points that you're going to put on there that's relevant to that? Right, the leadership, your ability to direct the team, your ability to kind of get everybody back on the same page. And maybe some goals that you hit on there, but they don't always have to have that number. Does that make sense? If it is going to be something that's sales related, you want to kind of show growth. You want to talk about numbers. In the very back of this packet, on page 17, there are some action words. These are awesome, by the way, of words that you can use to put into your bulleted sentences. They're going to be those descriptive words. They're going to be able to show your abilities and your outcomes and your achievements and whatever it is that you're trying to showcase on your resume to someone. It kills me when people work in a restaurant that are servers, especially, or bartenders, are like, well, I don't have any sales experience. I mean, all I've done is wait tables. Really? Because you never offer anybody an appetizer or an add-on or a dessert or to upgrade their liquor to the top shelf. You never have appetizer contest among all the other waiters or anybody else. I mean, that's persuasion. That's your ability to sell. And then what do you normally decide how you're going to tip somebody? Their service, and what else? Yes, their service, the quality. Absolutely, that bottom number of that ticket. So if they were great and you're going to tip them 20+%, you're going to take how much the total bill was, and then you're going to do the math in your head on how to tip that person. So if they had add-ons and you got the top shelf liquor and you got the appetizer and you got the beer and you got the wine, and not just the glass of wine but the bottle of wine, think about in your head right now that ticket starting to tick and how much bigger it's getting, and what you're getting paid off is that bottom line in addition to your service and your ability to build rapport. That's sales, guys. That's huge. Buckle, places like that you actually are getting paid a percentage of what you do. Or Best Buy, you do not make commission at Best Buy, but your hours and your shift are going to be based on your success with your sales. So if you're not selling, you're going to work crappy shifts and very little hours. But if you're selling and you're of value to that company, they want you there, right? So they're going to put you there in their highest demand, and you're going to get a lot more hours. And if you're trying to make some money, that's what you want. Does that make sense to you all? So don't think that you don't have experience, even if you haven't had a real job yet, where you actually had to pay taxes on it and somebody wasn't paying you under the table, okay? You really, really, if you've not done that, but you have been part of organizations, you have been an athlete. Kudos to you college athletes as far as time management goes. I don't know how you get it done and how you do it and successfully, because it was everything I could do to get to class on time, to get everything done on time, to study for my test, to be a mom, to be part of a sorority, and then a lot of you are doing all of that at the same time. So kudos to you all. That's huge. If you're an athlete, your ability to sell that time management and your success and all of the other things that you did outside of your sports, your ability to be a team player, your ability to be a leader when you needed to, your communication skills. How many times do you have to sell your coach on an idea, whether it's a new play, putting somebody else in a new position, maybe starting somebody over somebody else, or even letting you play when you're not getting any playing time. The way that you're going to do that is by having results out on the field, and the way that you do that is by working harder and asking for help and coming to more practices. So that's persuasion. So don't rule that out in any way. What else?
Should objectives still be included on resumes? And if not, what should be on that place in those?
It's really a weird thing. I talked about this last year, and I think it was the first time we had addressed it, and it was so funny. The morning that I came, I was watching Good Morning America, and they had a professional on there that did nothing but working with people on their resumes, and talking about how a lot of companies now were like, that objective. It's like a run-on sentence, number one, either this run-on sentence of just all these really big words of these fancy things that really at the end of the day never say what you do or what you want, or there's a couple of sentences that are so vague that really actually say nothing about you either. So most companies, honestly, I'm not looking at that. Or I look at it and we laugh a little bit in my office. I'm like, listen to this one. I haven't even heard this word before. Somebody Google this. What is this word? Or somebody look this up. And then it's even worse when you've not used the word correctly, by the way. Even worse. You trump me because I didn't know the word, but when I find out the definition of it and then I read it in the sentence, have you applied it? I'm like, holy snot, somebody didn't look over this for them very well, or they didn't think through it before they put it on here. In place of that is going to be, in my mind, some companies look at it differently, on your cover letter, that's where you're selling all of that stuff. So, this is who I am. Real quickly, here's some real quick accomplishments that I've had, and this is what I'm looking to do. And the position I'm applying for in your company, this is how it's all going to merge together. I don't even get a lot of cover letters, but when I do actually get one, I'm pretty impressed that somebody put it together and they took the time to really think through the position they were going to apply for. It shows me that they did a little bit of history workup and research on my company, And then they really had to think through the experiences that they had, the value that they had, and how that was all going to go together and make me want to bring them in. Pretty important. I don't care who tells you differently. I promise, 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 promise. Your resume needs to be 1 page. Promise. Promise, promise. Not 2 pages. Don't attach the references unless they ask for them. Not, well, couldn't get it on there, so it's just one little sentence at the top. Take something else off. Something else is really not that important. Take your resume to, Hannah, take your resume to one of your professors and say, if you were hiring me and I had to take one thing off of here, one sentence off of here, which of these sentences wouldn't really make or break my ability to get in the door to sit down with you? Ask somebody. But it really needs to be 1 page. So can you imagine if the average time that I'm looking at your resume is 30 seconds and you hand me a 3-page resume? Think about it. 16,000 applications a year, guys, that I'm looking at. It's crazy. Sell yourself on what's important, and the way that you get it down to that 1 page is pay attention to the job that you're selling for and put the highlights on that page that's important to the job that you want. Again, it's going to change for the position that you're interested in. Does that make sense? What else? What do you feel like, gosh, I've got to put this thing together, but I just don't know? Unless they ask for it. Like if you go online to apply and they ask for references, then you can attach a page. But if they don't ask for it, you don't need to attach it. Now, your resume is important because it's a quick shot of you. But in order to even get in the door with us, you have to complete our application that's online. You can upload your resume to the application piece, and they'll fill in some of the application for you from your resume information. On our application, there's a place to list 3 references on there. You wouldn't believe how many people don't do that. And I haven't asked for them on your resume, and then you don't take the chance to kind of sell me with who knows you and why they're important to you in this reference piece of it. But it also says in my minimum qualifications that in addition to your 4-year degree that you have to come to work for Enterprise, there's some leadership and or sales requirements that we have. And people will check yes that they have it, but nowhere on their application or their resume do they really show me that. And there's a place on our application that says, in addition to your degree that you've earned, what other honors have you received? I don't need to know what you did your freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior year of high school. Happy for you that you won the playoffs in 2005. 2012, when you're graduating from college, not applicable anymore. Okay, so leave the high school stuff off. Even if you're throwing for that internship position, because you're not going to really start doing that internship thing until between your junior and your senior year. And if you've been proactive and you've been involved, you're going to have college stuff to put on there. So leave the high school stuff off. It doesn't really matter anymore. But list your honors. List being part of the team. If you're an athlete, what you've achieved to be able to do that. In college, you don't just get to play because they have so many spots and so many opportunities to take you on that away game, and they can't just take every Joe Schmo that wants to throw on an outfit and go. So list your ability to be able to make that team. Talk about the things that you're interested in. You know, we are, obviously, again, sales, marketing, customer service, very competitive people, and understanding that to be very good at what we do and everything's performance-based, you got to have a little bit of competitiveness back there. So to see people who are physically involved in some kind of sport or something that is of competitive of nature, and to list those hobbies on there, it's important to us to see that. And it drives the area managers nuts when you don't complete your application, because in their mind, they're like, man, this application takes forever to complete anyway. I'll tell you right now, it does take forever to complete. They spent this much time on it, and they didn't even care to, complete this. So at the end of the day, it's really not important to them, right? This was just something that they needed to do. Fill it out. It talks a lot about who you are, your leadership, and how you want to be perceived. And that's not just for enterprise, that's for any company. They have that application out there for a reason. And if you ever get the opportunity to separate yourself from other candidates, take advantage of it, and the application does that. What else? Should you use the exact same references for every position that you're applying for? Why? Absolutely. Put the ones on there that apply to the position that you're going for. Should you ethically have someone's permission to use them as a reference before you list them? Yeah. I promise. So you need to have some real conversations with people before you even ask them and they say it's okay, that they're going to give you a good reference when we call. Because they don't always, I promise. And so I'm like, okay, they knew we were going to call and the candidate did ask, but did they not know this is how the person perceived them or saw them? Because that's not who I would want vouching for me if that's what they were going to say about me. I mean, you need to make sure that that reference is going to support everything that you just told us in the interview. Yes, sir. Sure. Absolutely. You're just going to want to make sure the validity of the position that he holds and really kind of sell that. It's okay to put that as a personal reference, and you can put it as a personal/professional reference, but you're just going to have to sell him as more than that personal, but that professional reference as well. Does that make sense? How many are you going to be looking to use your resume soon? Yeah. What? In the next 3 to 6 months. No, not yet. It's a good time to start working on it, and I'll tell you why. You're not going to believe how much you're going to change from today until you graduate between now and then. And what your interests are, what your achievements have been, what you've done, what you've been able to do, and what you're looking to do. And we do a exercise with our assistant managers when we're training them, and it's on a communication styles. And they have to take kind of like a test before they come in, and then when they come in, they send them to us before they come, and then we give them their results based on what type of communicator that they are in a regular type of situation and then a stressful type of situation. And then 2 years after that, once they've been an assistant manager, and now most of them are branch managers, and their role is kind of shifted in addition to their experience and who they are. So funny how that paradigm shifts too, with the majority of them in their communication styles. When I was an assistant manager, I was definitely far more of a feeler, and then an intuitor. But now, whenever I take that test, because they have us take them every time we give them to the branch managers just so they can see them, I'm equal on all 4 of the communication styles within a point or 2 of each other. And a lot of that comes with knowing my audience. My GM is a no-fluff type of guy. He is definitely on numbers. Talk to me about numbers. That's what I understand. So when I go in with him, I can't be that circular type of communicator. I have to be very linear. He wants the bread, and I'm more of the peanut butter marshmallow person. All of the stuff in the middle is what matters to that one piece of bread. He doesn't really care. He just wants the bread. All this stuff in the middle, he can fill it with something else. And I had to learn how to communicate with him, get the most out of him, get him to pay attention to me and become credible to him. And so now my communication style has changed based on my audience and what they need from me. And your resume will too. So starting on it now, just so you have some things that are fresh in your mind, and keeping a copy of it, because you can always go back and update it and change it anytime that you need. But put some stuff on paper now that it's fresh in your mind, so you don't have to work as hard at it later on. And there is, on page 9, there's a grid that before you start trying to type it out and make it look pretty on paper, here's an opportunity for you to kind of really list out what's important and what you want them to see. How many of you all have ever, like, put a text together in anger or type something on Facebook and you're reading it and rereading it and you're contemplating what the consequences are going to be for it when you hit submit or comment? The same thing with your text. And you just lay it down for a second and you like get busy doing something else and you come back to it and you're like, Jesus, I didn't send that. So you like tweak it a little bit, and then you're like, okay, is this really what I want to say? And you erase it, and you put something else, and you delete it a little bit more, and then you type something else, and then think about it real quick again before you send it, and you walk away, and then the next day you come back to it, and you're like, all right, I'm going to respond now. I am going to say something. And that big, huge text, or that big, huge comment that you're getting ready to throw out there on Facebook has now been like down to 4 words that really had the most impact and kept you safe, but really got across what it is that you wanted to say. It's the same thing with your resume. Put stuff out there because it sounds good and it's fluff and da-da-da-da. My GM doesn't want to see your fluff. He wants to see results. I'm a fluff person, but I understand what they want to see, and so I'm looking for with the very final person that's going to make that hiring decision, what's important to them. That's what I'm looking for in your paperwork. And at the end of the day, that's what separates you from everybody else that's going to be applying for the job. So that's what you have to consider when you're putting all that stuff on paper. Pictures on your resume, colored paper. I'm just like, are you kidding me right now? Did they do that like on purpose? Guys, I've even gotten resumes on like clearly they did invitations for their child's birthday party or something and then forgot to take it out of the printer. And I mean, they had to fold it and put it in the envelope to send it to me, right? So they saw that it was like on balloon or bubble paper, or Winnie the Pooh or whatever else, Transformer. You wouldn't believe some of the stuff I've got. And they still sent it to me anyway. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you imagine putting this person in front of a corporate like customer who's just like not trying to be your friend or know anything about your kids, like they're just a straight shooter? Who knows what's going to come out of their mouth if this is what they felt good about selling to a company as who they are, the first glimpse. Typos, like sometimes you leave an S on a word. I get it, it happens. Sometimes it's the wrong punctuation. But like words that aren't words, or they're just horribly misspelled. They were trying to put their resume together, and they've got like italic or bold or one type of font up here and one type of font down here, and you're just like, oh, you're getting like nauseous trying to look at it. It's like a Vera Bradley bag. Like, whoa, you can only stare at it for so long. Love them, but I want to vomit if I look at it for too long, and that's how that resume is too. I carry a Vera, but I carry the solid one, all right? I can't do the printed ones because it's really hard on me, and that's how resumes are too. When they come in, those are the ones that I'm like, oh my gosh. You know what else cracks me up? The email address that you feel really good about putting out there, that's hot and sexy mama. Really? Okay, that's funny if you're my sorority sister and you're sending it over to me. Not so much to the 13th largest private sector in the world. Your ringback tone? Seriously? Like, I've learned more music on ringback tones like that I didn't even know were in the original song, because I do have a 16-year-old, and I close her door because there's things I don't even want to hear coming out of her room because it's like a Vera Bradley bag. But the ringback tones too, like sometimes I will call you back and put you on speaker just so everybody else in my office can hear it. I'm like, oh my God, you're going to come hear this. I didn't know this were the lyrics in this song. And they're like, who is that? I'm like, somebody's applying for a position and wherever. I'm like, oh my God, somebody needs to tell them to change that. Like, if you're applying and you have applications out there, don't have that type of ring-back tone on there. Now, after you get employed, you've been there for a while, it's probably all right. But when you're trying to get a job, not so much. And you're recording. Like, even if it's not a ring-back tone, if it's like, yo, leave me a message, I'll hit you back. Funny. Like, I think it's funny. It's not professional. Not everybody is me that's out there that's hearing that type of stuff. Speak clearly about what your name is and what it is that you want them to do. Do you want them to leave their name and number? Do you want them to leave their email address because you might not be in a place where you can call them back, but you'll have a computer access and you can shoot them an email real quick? If you've got your resume out there and you're trying to get hired, that type of stuff matters. Social media, you think about what I want to say before I say it. I'm not going to go look for you on Facebook. I don't have time to. I get 16,000 applications a year. Don't friend me on Facebook before your interview or during your interview process, and then cry not fair when the way you're portraying yourself out there could be a reason you don't get hired. There's, in our policy handbook, the very last page talks about even when you're not on the clock, you're a reflection of enterprise holdings. Things that you do off the clock could lead to your termination because people see Nikki and think enterprise holdings. And they don't, it's their brand, it's their integrity, it's everything that they have. And a lot of decisions that we make, they don't want them connected. So think about that. If you just had Greek social or homecoming just happened or you're doing some cake stands or whatever, awesome. Probably don't want them on your page right away. All right? Or make those private where certain people can't see them. Or just don't friend people that you're interviewing with. Probably not the best idea. I try not to even be friends with too many people that I even work with because if they've had a really bad day at work, I don't want to know what they're saying. I know they're going to have bad days. I have them too, but don't go blast it out there to everybody at Facebook for social media to see. So definitely think about that, guys, before you do it. What do you all think about that? What do you think about the fairness of that? What are your thoughts? You do think it's fair? My daughter doesn't think it's fair yet. She will. She'll get there. 16, I probably don't think it's fair either. But does anybody think it's not fair? I think they don't have any business going looking for you on social media. Legally, they can. I don't think they have any business doing that. If they do, and they have enough time to do it, they clearly need to get rid of somebody else in their company because their personnel is crazy for some reason because they've got somebody who's got too much hand to be surfing Facebook all the time. But if you're crazy enough to request somebody during the interview piece, you've basically just said, hey, I know I'm trying to sell myself to you as the best person, and take a look at what's in my closet real quick. Sometimes that closet can do you in. So think about it. What else? DUIs, don't get them. Just telling you. You wouldn't believe how many positions, even if you don't drive in them, can't hire you. Because if for any reason that you ever have to go on a business trip for that company and they have to rent you a car, they can't employ you because you have a DUI on your record and their insurance company won't cover you. We clearly can't hire you if you have a DUI because you drive our cars. We will. Enterprise is very fair, the Taylor family, and says, things that you do when you're 18 and you're stupid, but you really rethought about it and kind of changed your life and made some accomplishments, and now you're a senior and you're graduating. Do we really, really, really want to hold them accountable for being stupid at 18? I don't know. Let's take a look at your driving record since. Oh, 3 speeding tickets? Yeah, probably. They've not learned too much of a lesson yet. We will take a look at you, but it has to be more than a 3-year period. It used to be 5. Now it's 3. But it's what you did and the steps you took after that that make a difference. Credit, don't do it. I'm telling you right now, you sign up for the card and not be able to pay it because it's illegal for that to impact your ability to be employable. We're giving you an opportunity to run a business, and you're going to get paid salary plus commission off the profit of your business that you're running for us. But if you're not taking care of your water bill and your electric bill and your cell phone bill that's been turned off like 3 times and you popped companies and didn't go through with the contract that you signed with all of them, do we feel good that you're going to be credible running our business? Nah. So don't do it. I'm really trying to give you the best advice that I can right now, guys, because I know it's going to impact you at the end of the day. And even though it's been since 1998 that I was even here, I remember the decisions that you make and the things that you do, and I don't want you to be knocked out of an opportunity of a lifetime if somebody could have just given you forewarning. Anything else? Smoking, don't do it as you're on your way to your interview. I used to be a smoker a long time ago, and so I'm very sensitive to it now, more than a non-smoker ever would be. And if you smell like smoke when you come into my office, I'm just like, that's all I can think about. It's like that Tide commercial that has like mustard on their shirt, and the guy's just like watching that mustard move. Like, it's all I can think of when you're sitting in my office. I've heard nothing that you've said. If you want to smoke, smoke it out. Just take your suit that you're going to wear that day and put it like somewhere else where it's not going to get it on it. Shower. Don't do it that morning and don't do it on the way there. But it needs to be like that every day when you come to work too, because you're going to be dealing with customers all the time. And if they can't even stand to smell you because you smell like a cigarette, they're not going to buy anything from you. Promise you. It's really, really hard for customers to take you serious when every time you move, all they smell is cigarette. So think about that. That goes along with cologne and lotion, ladies, when you're going in for an interview. Don't overwhelm people with it. My receptionist will send me an email and tell me when people are there for their interview, and she'll say, open your window or you're going to suffocate. And I immediately know they either smell like a cigarette, they have on way too much cologne, or they put lotion on that's just like overwhelming. And that's not what you want somebody to remember you by when you come in. If you've got a story to tell and you're the best candidate, that's what you want them focused on during your interview. How many of you all have ever done an interview before? How many of you were not hired after your interview? Okay. Did they give you any feedback as to why? That's our HR allowed to tell you type of question or response out there to you. There's always a reason. So even whenever I send that out to everybody, once we do the interview piece and we're not going to select you, if somebody responds to me and says, I really appreciate your time, I'm super interested in your company. Some companies are okay with this, some aren't, but I really want to know what it is that I don't have or that I need or that I could do better in the interview process because I want to work for you. Where did I fall short? Can you give me some feedback on that? I give those people feedback every time. Now, the ones that go, are you freaking kidding me? Who are you to tell me that I'm not the best? I mean, for God's sakes, you did a phone interview and you had me on speakerphone. How credible is that? And I'm like, oh, delete. I don't even read that. Like, I can't. Are you kidding me right now? You're not always going to be the best candidate. But when you seek to find out what it is that they want, it can make a world of difference in your ability to secure not only employment with them, but another company like them, because they're generally looking for the same type of stuff. It's okay to follow up with people. A lot of times my answer to them is, I think that you can bring a lot of value to our company, but we did a phone interview with you, and you really didn't do a lot of research before your phone interview. And before I brought you into a face-to-face interview with me, I said, hey, listen, We're the #1 hire of college graduates in the world. Our website, awesome. It's like Facebook. It sucks you in. You're on there for like 4 hours. You don't even know you've been on there because it's so interactive and there's so much to do. Go find out what we're really about and what we're going to expect from you, and make sure this is really something that you want. And if it is something that you want, it's going to prepare you for the rest of your interview process. Because if you really find out what we're about and what our opportunities are about, you're going to know what to be prepared for during your interview piece. Okay, no problem. So they come in for their face-to-face interview with me, and I'm like, okay, what questions do you have since we talked last? None. Okay, so do you have a chance to spend some time on the website, really kind of get more acquainted with what we do? I got really busy. I don't have a second to check that out. Okay, so why do you want to work here? Why is Enterprise like what you want to do? Because how many of you all want to get your 4-year degree that you have to have, dress like this every single day, and wash a car? No! I remember when I went through the interview process and they asked me what I was going to do. I was like, oh, I'll change my clothes real quick and go outside and wash the car, and then I can go put my clothes back on. They were like, what? Time to do that? You're going to be washing cars in your stilettos and your suit. I'd have a 4-year degree to do this? Like, I have no clue. Like, why? But it's all about learning how to run a business. And if you own a business, a hotel, a restaurant, and your people don't show up, or they get busy doing other things, think about this. We have service agents to wash our cars, but they're part-time. They're generally college students who want to be an intern with us. So they're like getting in really early. They come in, they're freshmen, sophomore year. They wash cars for us. They build those relationships. They really learn more about what Enterprise is about. Then when they're going into their junior year, they're like, hey, I really want to check out your all's internship. What do you think about this? So they have school. And if they're part-time, or if they're taking a customer back for us real quick, or they went to go get gas, or they're dropping the car off at the shop down the road to get an oil change, or we had an SUV there and we need a truck, and the truck that I need is down at one of the other branches, so they're running it down to the other branch for me real quick, and they're not there, but a customer comes in that has a reservation and wants a car, and has now decided they want a different car than what they reserved, so it's not clean. What do? It's your business. Go wash it. Freaking cares. Sucks a little bit when it's icy and you got stilettos on. We females got to really roll into that deal. But cool thing is when it is icy, we get to put like boots on so we don't kill ourselves out there. But you gotta get your customer what they want, and you don't have them sitting there waiting until the service agent comes back to wash the car. So you go outside and you wash it real quick. It takes 2 of you 3 seconds to get that car cleaned up and ready to go for that customer. But that's the best customer service. The right thing to do for them. You're not telling them no, and generally when they want something else, they want something bigger. So what else is that? Revenue. That's what I'm driving all day, dude. Revenue. It's what I'm trying to make all day long. It's what I get paid off of. So yeah, we're going to wash a car occasionally, but it makes a lot more sense now, right? But if you haven't gone out and really tried to figure out what Enterprise is all about, and I throw that question out to you, so you feel good about washing cars, and you're not even prepared for what we do, no, you're not prepared for what we do. You're not okay with washing cars. I wasn't either when somebody asked me that. But I didn't have somebody like this coming in and saying, research the company. Make sure you know what they do. We promote only from within, and we promote 100% on performance. So seniority or longevity won't get you anything at Enterprise. It's all performance-based. So are you competitive? Are your results driven? Do goals drive you and what it is that you want to do? Do you have some form of sales experience? And it doesn't have to be of a product. It can be persuasion, like I was talking about earlier with your coach. Because those, what you know now that you know about my company, those are the types of things we're going to be asking you all about. How do you all feel about relocation? Because if you're moving up the ladder and you're getting promoted and now you're ready to interview for an assistant branch manager position, it's not always going to be the assistant branch manager position in that office that you're working for that opens. It could be the one across town. It could be the one up in Morgantown. It could be one down in Beckley, out in Gallipolis. out in Oakland, Maryland. That's part of my territory too. Where are you with wanting to go after that opportunity? Can everybody go right away? No. Guys, I couldn't go in 1998 either. I was a single parent. Had to have my support network. But I lived in an area where a lot of our operations were around me, so I could go to those. I could drive to them, no problem. But now that she's a junior in high school, guess what? Absolutely. She doesn't need me to be home anymore. She has her own car. She drives herself to whatever practice it is between the 13,000 things that she does all the time. So my availability now to move out and to go, not a problem. I can do that, and I'm just waiting for the opportunity to do it. So it's okay to be honest with people and say, in the next 2 years, here's the positions I'm going to be able to go to in this radius. But once I get this X, Y, and Z goal taken care of, sky's the limit for me. But understand that your ability to move up in a company like ours is going to go quicker if you can go, if you can pick up and go to where the opportunity is. But don't get frustrated when you knew that coming in through the interview piece, and now you're not getting promoted because you're locked to a position, and you're like, well, there's no opportunity. There's opportunity all around you. How flexible are you to get to that? So know about that before you go in, because you're just going to waste your time with a company if that's going to be kind of something that drives your career, and that's what you're looking to do. So research, research, research. Anything else? Has this been helpful? Awesome. Good luck, guys.